Hey, we're going to do a couple different techniques on these ribeyes on the charcoal Weber grill, and I'm going to show you guys the difference between direct heat cooking and indirect reverse sear on these two ribeye steaks. One's thick and one's thin, so stay tuned. Hey, welcome back to the channel, fellow journeymen and apprentices. Hey, tonight we have something kind of fun we got going on the grill. We have two ribeye steaks, and there is a difference between these ribeyes. They are thin and thick. Reason for that is because there is a technique on your grill that you can do to cook these things at perfection, and depending on which thickness you have, I want to touch base on which two techniques work the best for these two thick and thin cuts of meat. So we're going to be doing this on a Weber kettle charcoal grill tonight, and I'm going to take this thicker cut of ribeye, and we're going to do that indirect reverse seared. And on this thinner steak, we're going to let this go directly over the coals, and we're going to be flipping it a bunch just to make sure we don't catch it on fire and burn it. But we will be showing you the different techniques there. And one thing I did request from my butcher was that they cut me from the chuck end of the rib roast. So the rib roast has two different ends to it, and the chuck end is more marbled out. I like that in a ribeye. Some people do and some people don't. I like it because it has more intermuscular fats, so there's a lot more flavor in there. It's a little more rich flavored, a little beefier flavored. So I have also going on these things a pretty simple seasoning. With this cut of meat, it doesn't need a whole lot of flavor in my opinion, but you do you. What I would say you probably want to stay away from is anything sugar based on your steaks. Otherwise they could burn and char pretty bad on you if you're not careful. So we're going to go with the simple black pepper, a kosher salt, garlic powder, and I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of this surf and turf. It's just a general seasoning here. You can put on your seafood or your steak, your burgers, whatever you like to put it on. It'll pair great with all your different types of meats you want to use, but I'm going to put a light coating on that. These are going to sit out for 1 hour, get up to room temperature, not fully to room temperature, but just let them kind of come up internally temperature-wise, which is going to help, especially this thinner one when we do direct heat cooking. We're going to cook these steaks to a medium rare, which is what I like them cooked at. So, and my family likes them cooked at medium rare, so that is how we're going to do these. And we can give you some guidelines on if you like it done a little less or a little more. We can put some internal temperatures in there for you to really nail these things down to what you prefer yourself. So let's go ahead and start this off. Let's get a little bit of black pepper on these steaks, and we're going to go ahead and give it a nice little coating here of black pepper. Top side. We're going to start with our salt next. And I'm not going too crazy on these, but I'm getting a nice little coating on them. I prefer kosher salt. It's not, the salt content's not near as strong as a sea salt, so it's a little harder to over salt that way with kosher. We get a little bit of our garlic powder on these. Nothing too crazy, just a nice little coating there. We're going to wait for this one. We're going to put this surf and turf seasoning on just before it goes on the grill. So let's go ahead and flip these over. This is the thinner steak you can see. This is the one that we are going to be doing direct over the charcoals. This steak's going to cook a lot faster than the other one. I'm going to flip this one too. This is a pretty fine ground black pepper. If you like coarse, great. It's just simple for me to use this one tonight, so that's kind of what I went with. A bit of salt on it. The garlic powder. This side too. Okay, so we're going to let these things sit out for 1 hour. In about 30 minutes, I'm going to flip these, and then I'm also going to light the charcoal in the chimney, and I'm going to go through a quick little how-to video on how to start your coals in your charcoal grill. It's super simple. So stay tuned. Alright guys, so we're going to do these steaks two different ways. We are going to put the coals all to one side and we're going to direct cook the thin ribeye. It has been sitting out for a half hour. We're going to get these coals going, keep the coals to one side, and then after that steak's finished, we are going to put the thicker ribeye opposite of the coals on the other side, and we're going to make the vents go just above the meat to pull the warmer air over. So let's go ahead and get this chimney here filled up. Actually, put this down here first. One thing I like about this specific lever is it's a performer, so it has a little gas tank. Makes it really nice. Makes it really nice for lighting this in the chimney. You don't have to use newspaper. And I am going to use a little bit of this lump charcoal. Right. All right, guys, here we are. We have our charcoal started. It's going real well. We're going to go ahead and dump this out, and we're going to keep all the coals to one side so that when we do our thicker ribeye, it'll be straight across from the hot coals. But the first steak we're going to do is the thinner steak, and we will be doing that directly above the coals on the grill grate. So let's go ahead and get these dumped. Ooh, it's hot. Yep. There. Make sure all of our coals are pushed over real well. Okay, guys, we have our thin ribeye here, and we're going to go directly on the coals on the grill grate. Let's go ahead and lay it on. We're just going to keep an eye on this. I'm going to feel it for doneness. Good rule of thumb is when you take your palm and you push in on it, the further out you go, the softer it is. When you bring your thumb in, it becomes firmer. You want to bring your thumb in just a little bit and press on it to where it feels a little firm, and that's the same feeling you're going to want to feel on your steak. So the reason why we're doing direct over the heat with this thinner steak is merely because the steak's awfully thin. It's actually a standard cut, so it's about 3/4 of an inch thick, and we've had it setting out so it's been brought up somewhat to temperature on the internal section of this meat, and right now it's going to cook a lot quicker. If I was to go indirect and then try to sear it, it more than likely would be overcooked. So we're just going to keep an eye on this, make sure it doesn't flare up, catch on fire. Flip here. Okay, we are 6 minutes into this cook, and we're going to go ahead and give this a little flip this way. Okay, guys, we are exactly 8 minutes in on this cook. This steak's looking pretty right. The edges are starting to curl up just a little bit on it here, and we're going to go ahead and get the dish and get this thing inside. We've been letting this steak set for 10 minutes in this dish covered up after we pulled it off the grill. Let's go ahead and get started on this. Looks beautiful in there. Nice juices, you're going to want to save those. Go ahead and get this out here, and let's separate it from the bone. So far it's looking good. Nice pink center there by the bone. It's always a good sign. And let's go ahead and cut into this. Shave some of this part, and we will cut right down the middle of the eye and the cap. Show you just inside there. Nice medium rare, warm pink center. The chuck head I like a lot because the ribeye cap is a pretty good size. It's larger down on the chuck end. That's where all the marbling is. And then it has this nice little medallion, kind of just a round little chunk there that's the most tender part on this whole cut. And then it has the eye of the ribeye here, and then the tail piece that they would trim off to make it a Delmonico. So a little tidbit for you there. Here is the ribeye here with the tail piece attached. Detach that and you would have a Delmonico. So if you didn't know, now you know. Also, let's go ahead and cut a little piece of this ribeye piece right here. Let's try that. Yep, that's excellent. I can taste the garlic, the black pepper, nice little saltiness. It's excellent. This is that little medallion piece. Super juicy, tender. Don't let those juices go to waste either. That's the best part. And last but not least, one of my favorite parts of a ribeye is a ribeye cap. Let's go ahead and give it a dunk too. So check it out. We did this directly over the coals on the grill rack. We had approximately about 10 minutes or so on this cook. We just flipped it. We kept flipping it just so we didn't get anything burnt on it. But as you can see, it's perfection if you like medium rare. I would say this is more medium actually than a medium rare. But for a ribeye, there's a lot more fat in it, so you can get away with cooking them a little bit more. And they actually turn out to be a little more tender on the medium side. A lot of the intermuscular tissues are still attached if they're medium rare. So if you like your steak like that, a little more chewy, then I would go a little more rare. If you like it a little more tender, I'd go medium. So, well, we're going to go check on our thicker ribeye that's going indirect right now, and we'll check back in with that back here, and we'll slice it open too. Okay guys, here we go. We have this pit running right around 450 degrees, and the coals are on our left side. Indirect cooking is simply the heat on one side and the cooking meat, in this case the steak, on the other side. We'll go ahead and get it on here. You'll notice I put the bone side towards the heat to kind of shield that meat from getting burned on the edges. We are going to cook this with the vent holes located directly above the meat so that it pulls the hot air across the meat and cooks it evenly. So our bottom damper holes on this grill are open up about halfway, and our top vent hole is going to be open up all the way. And we're going to let this thing sit in here, and we're going to check these temperatures on the probe right here on our phone. All right, guys, this thicker ribeye here, we have internal temperature at 125 degrees. So right now is the time we're going to move that over to the coals because we've hit our internal temperature that we want. And let's go ahead and lay it right here. We're going to go ahead and let this thing sear up. And we're going to get a good sear on this, approximately about a minute on each side. And then we'll take it inside and we'll check back in when we cut this thing up. Okay, so we ended up taking this off the grill. We did indirect on this thicker ribeye, and then we took it to an internal temperature of 125 degrees. When we seared it on the coal bed, my coals had kind of burned down a little bit, so to get my nice sear on the outside, it took a little longer than what I liked. We took this steak to almost 140 degrees. Took us about 2.5 minutes aside to sear it. So we're going to go ahead and cut this up and see how it turned out. I still have faith that it's pretty darn good inside still because everything's nice and soft. So let's go ahead and detach this bone. Everything looks good there. Nice pink, warm on the inside. Let's detach this tail piece here, and let's go ahead and cut the middle of this eye of the ribeye out. As you guys can see there, it's actually really nice. This is what I would call a nice medium steak, medium rare almost. Plenty juicy on the inside. There's nothing dry about this. You can see all the juice coming out of this, and you can see our probe mark that was in there. These things are a must if you're going to be doing indirect reverse searing. If you don't have this quick temp stick that you can just poke in every now and then and check the temps, just so you make sure you don't take it past your desired wellness of done. So let's go ahead, and here's the cap right here. Wraps all the way around to this bottom side, and then here is that medallion I was telling you about, and we're going to pop that out of there just so you can kind of see. I wouldn't typically do this to my steaks, but just so I can show you guys what I'm talking about here, it just detached right out of there. This is that medallion. I kind of ripped it, but it's just a nice little fillet in there, really. So we have our cap, our medallion, and right here was our ribeye. That's the eye of the ribeye roast. And then our tail piece right here. It's kind of a little fattier. It's okay to eat. It does have a lot more fat in it. But let's go ahead and give each one of these a little taste. I'm just going to cut a little slither off. My kiddos and I had the other smaller steak, so I'm a little full right now. That's where it's at. Very good. Here's the medallion. So what I found with this cook is I actually think I like the ribeye taken to about 135 to 140 degrees internal temperature. I let this rest for about 10 minutes. I did not cover it because I didn't want the internal temperature to keep rising. So we let it rest just sitting outside on this cutting board right here on the island. And let's go ahead and give this cap a little try here. I definitely think it turned out more tender, taking it up to a slightly higher temperature. You can see, if you're a medium rare fan, medium fan, this is perfect, really. This was a lot of fun. I enjoy eating steak. Beef prices have been pretty high, but they are coming down a little bit, which makes it kind of nice, a little more affordable for these cuts. I got this from a local butcher, Jamison's, here in Fort Wayne. They have a few different meat groceries here in the city, and I actually requested that they cut this one for me off of the chuck end. So thank you to Jamison's for getting this nice cut of meat to me. This is USDA choice. It's not a prime grade, but when it comes to a ribeye, it has plenty of fat content in it. So the marbling is excellent on a choice ribeye, and this, I would say, was a for sure winner. So I hope you guys try this recipe out, and we will try to think of what we're going to cook next for you guys. So until next time, we'll see you later.